Titterpigs, oh yeah. They're gonna talk about sweet, sweet RPGs. And it's the Titterpigs, the RPG podcast. Am I getting paid for this one?
All right, welcome back to episode 46 of Titterpigs. We are here at our end-of-year wrap-up, roundup, goat rope, whatever you want to call it. We're here. Welcome, Scott.
Oh, yeah, it's good to be back. It has been a hot minute since we've done a recording, and we apologize to all of our listeners and all of our patrons and whatnot. But, you know, as we tend to say in these situations, life does have a way of getting in the way. But yes,
fact.
Yeah. So we are here to kind of have a recap. You know, it's the reason for the season this time of year. It's a time of reflection and thinking back on, you know, how your year was. And 2024 was an interesting year for both of us.
What happens if I don't see my reflection in the mirror?
I don't know. Kill your patron vampire to get your humanity back. I don't know.
Damn it. That's tough. Anyways.
But yeah, so we're going to be going over some general topics, and we're just going to have a discussion. And as we go, we're probably, you know, roll into these different things. And as we go along, we just kind of give a general recap of both ourselves, the podcast, and some of the things that we experienced. And also some of the things that we're looking forward to in 2025, be it, new games that we're going to try, games we're excited about, and likewise resolutions, you know, because what's a new year without making promises that you're probably not going to keep?
Just so I can break them.
Of course. You know, it's this, like I said, 'tis the season for a New Year resolution. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So
let's do this.
So one of the first topics that we're going to talk about is just, you know, a very general topic, which is, you know, the reason why we do this podcast is games. What games that we experienced this year, maybe, you know, reference one that we enjoyed, any particular situation that occurred during a game that we played or run. So let's hop into it, Key. So 2024, big year. You know,
it was.
We've done some games, but games you tried, you know, games that had a memorable moment. What's some things that 2024 held for you?
God, you know, I didn't do a very good job of tracking the games I played this year.
Yeah, I know.
So let me put that out there into the void, right? But I did do a good job of over on RPG Geek website recording the games that I ran for the first time ever or played for the first time ever.
There you go.
Other games that I've played before or had run before, I didn't record those. So bad on me. You know, some of my more memorable things, like some new games that I played this past year. Mm-hmm. I got to play Jiangxi. I know I'm, depending on who you ask, I'm butchering it, and I apologize to anybody that's offended by my pronunciation. But Blood in the Banquet Hall, I found that to be a very interesting game, quite fun. Some of the games I got to play at various conventions this year, Castle Falkenstein, Old Gods of Appalachia, verdict's still out whether I like that one or not.
Yeah.
Shadow Dark, top of my list as a good, enjoyable game. I still want to kind of dig deeper into that one. Mm-hmm. I even got to play Magical Kitty Save the Day.
Oh, pinch your cheeks.
However, that one was memorable, not because of the game per se, although the game was enjoyable. It was because I got to play with my granddaughter at a convention. So
well, there you go.
That was fun.
Yes,
those are some of my more memorable ones. Mm-hmm. But probably the one that takes the cake out of all of it was playing and running. So playing in the X-Crawl Classics tournament at Gen Con.
Yep.
And then turning around, picking it up at Gen Con, and then turning around and then running a game for for some of you schmucks in our Wednesday night group was fantastic. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it definitely a different take as opposed to the tournament that we played in. So it gave a little more insight into X-Crawl. Anything else that floated your boat this year, gaming wise?
I mean, I played other. Obviously, there's other games that I played.
Yeah.
There's been Call of Cthulhu sessions, and there's been we played Hunter and some Shadow Dark, and we've got some things queued up, and there's just been a menagerie of things. So, those, the ones that I've already mentioned, those are kind of the ones that really rose to the top.
Sure.
But every game that I've played this year has been enjoyable. I have not found one that was a complete misfire, absolute shitstorm. So, kudos to everybody that I've played in a game with. If you were the GM, you did a superb job in keeping my my little dinosaur brain at in my short attention span focused. So that was good. If you were a player with me, kudos. I enjoyed gaming with you. So
well, thank you.
But now that you asked that, though, I do want to give a shout out to at MythicCon. I mentioned this in the last episode we did, in number 45.
Sure.
There was a GM who I played in his Dungeon Crawl Classics game.
Okay.
And this was the first DCC game he had ever run. And he did a fantastic job running it, and I had a great time playing in it. Now, I've obviously played lots of DCC. I've run lots of DCC, right?
Right.
But I really enjoyed that game. It ended early just because of the way the cookie crumbles, as it were. But it was really enjoyable. The other players were really good, and we all just kind of rolled with the punches and just had a great time. And that judge was fantastic for his first time behind the screen with that game system. So,
right.
Yep.
Excellent.
How about you? What do you got?
Well,
talk to me, teddy bear.
Well, for those of you who are unaware, I also do a YouTube channel, regarding
tell me more.
Tabletop RPGs. No. But that aside, I threw out a post this morning because it's been over 60 days since I've done any video, and primarily one of the reasons why, and this also could be a reason why we haven't recorded as much, is I am stretched thin with gaming goodness. And so a lot of the games that I have played in throughout this year, aside from some of the ones that you mentioned that I played in also, have been taking up quite a bit of my gaming time. And just prattling off the list off the top of my head, I'm in a Enemy Within Warhammer Fantasy campaign being run by Paul Mitchner, author of Liminal. I'm in a 2 GURPS campaigns being run by Patrick Mullen, our patron and friend of the show. Yep. I'm still, chipping away at Masks of Nyarlathotep, and
you're a trooper for that one, bro.
Oh, yeah.
You're a better man than me, Charlie Brown.
And then there's my friends from the game store who are different than the ones that I'm running masks for, which I'm, running an on again, off again kind of OSC campaign for fun, running Cyberpunk for my son and his friends. And just a menagerie of games that and you would think, well, how the hell do you do this? Well, they're not all every week. Some of these may be once a month, bi-weekly. Right. A lot of them are in the evenings, or majority of them are online, so it makes it easier. But there's been no shortage of games that I played this year. As some. But that aside, I got to play in a couple one shots in the various cons that we attended, and so it's just. But one of the things that I didn't do so much was I really didn't get to experience any what you might consider new games. Any recent games that would have been a something to focus on in 2024. Aside from completing Pendragon, which was the previous year. But the one thing that I'm really grateful for is, with our, semi-regular Wednesday night game, which has been great because that's been allowing us to experience, different games and what we've kind of been what I've been playing, again and again over time.
Your 5-year campaigns, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So who knows what next year may bring with that. I'm well aware that I'm stretched very thin. So, some of those should be wrapping up soon. I know Enemy Within might be finishing shortly. Going to be finishing Masks, hopefully here within the next month or so. We're near the tail end of that. It's just, that's the big scheduling issue with that one. But no, I've got no complaints as
That's
far
good.
as I'm filled to the brim with RPGs in 2024. So that's no complaints, and definitely one of the bigger highlights of the year was getting to play with everyone, with you all, and getting to enjoy myself. Whereas previous years it seemed to be a little bit dry. Didn't really run anything, didn't really play much. And so it kind of flipped the coin on that. But with other things coming in 2025, that may slow down. I'm playing in more games than I'm used to, and
Right.
I enjoy running games more. So that may change. I kind of want to. We'll get to that in our resolution.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So that's it. Any new games or whatever. Again. In classic Titterpig style, we prepared for this episode 5 minutes
Right
before
off
we
the cuff, baby.
Yeah.
Right off the cuff.
So,
Yeah, let's talk about new games.
Yeah.
So, 2024, I don't think either of us had gone hog wild, chasing after, white whales and crazy new games this year.
Right.
I think we were both pretty mellow in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But I know we did both pick up some new games this year.
Yeah.
What was one or two of your highlights that you picked up this year that you either have plans to run or have already run?
Well, I think the big
Or
one,
played.
that really got me, and it really, I've got an itch to try it, but it definitely needs to be in a position where I can, run it for a good length of time. Was when the Moria supplement for the One Ring Second Edition arrived. It's the very beautiful limited edition cover with the leatherette etched
You went all in.
imagery on it. Wonderful, beautiful cloth maps. I mean, you can see behind me. There's the big thing for me is when they come out with something is if there's a cloth map. Yeah, a book is secondary. I just want a new map. So there's a beautiful map of Moria.
I know you're addicted to those cloth
God.
maps.
Oh
man.
yeah. I mean, I have been since I was a kid. I'm a map guy.
Yeah.
But it is just a fantastic book. It's beautiful. I haven't read through it in depth, but going through it, it does do a good job of what many would think would be like, how can you do this? How can you run a game that's going to take you into the depths of Moria? But it looks like it handles that in a very good way, and it definitely makes it interesting. And it's just like, I really want to, give the One Ring a good shot, and get to the point where they can explore the depths of Moria and have fun with that. So that was a big standout one, even though that game may have come out, the Kickstarter may have been 2023 or whatever, but it arrived this year. So that was a big standout for me. And I'm constantly, it sits over here next to my recording desk, and I'm constantly picking up and just paging through it to a random page, and just the artwork and what it has within there. You could definitely run a One Ring campaign just delving the depths of Moria for fun, for a good year.
Okay. That's fair. Anything else?
That aside, I mean, I picked up X-Crawl Classics for Christmas. I got the retail set, which I'm currently reading through now. That's got me excited too. Brandon LaSalle has done an exceptional job within there, light edits aside. But let's
not go there.
Yeah, but it's also been a collector's year for me. I picked up a lot of, I did obtain a lot of wonderful items that I have, that the London box set for Cthulhu Britannica. A lot of things that I wouldn't thought I would be able to obtain that have fallen in my lap due to some great deals out there. I've been very lucky with that. But new games. I mean, again, if we actually took time to prepare for this, I would have had a list for you, but I'm sure there's some in the stack somewhere. But Moria stands out, above and beyond the rest.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've picked up a few things over the year, over the course of the year. The things that really stand out to me was when I was traveling out to Oklahoma for a work conference. I picked up Dark Tower for DCC.
Yes.
And I picked that slipcase setup. That was a bitch to carry back because it's heavy on an airplane. But I brought that back from Oklahoma. But more recently, I picked up. I say recently at Gen Con, I picked up Outgunned.
Oh yes, yes.
I picked that up, and the Medusa, Operation Medusa. It's a little 3-act flick, little mini campaign,
right?
That they've published. I picked that up at Gen Con.
Mm-hmm.
So that has me really excited. We'll talk more about Outgunned in another few minutes. But I've also just recently ordered, and it has not arrived yet. Mm-hmm. It was my Christmas present to myself, so we'll call it a 2024 item. Looking forward to in 2025.
Right.
But it's Outcast Silver Raiders.
Okay.
It was something that I have been wanting. I didn't get it in its first go around in the first printing, so I was waiting for the slipcase, the new second printing, which came out in October timeframe.
Yeah, the reprinting.
September, October. And I decided not to pick it up during the sale, the Black Friday sale, which I probably should have because it was only like $40 or $45. But I found a really good deal online, so I don't feel too bad.
Right.
And so now I'm just waiting for confirmation it's going to ship. So
okay.
Hopefully I'll have it by the end of this week or early next week, and then I can delve into that. So I'm looking forward to that. Those are kind of like my I don't want to say my new goodies, but those are the things that I'm most excited about having picked up or recently purchased.
Right.
So
yeah, two games that have been making some waves. I mean, Outgun obviously is the people are constantly talking about that, but Outcast Silver Raiders is kind of like a bit of an underdog in the the fantasy RPG kind of OSR group also that you see pop up in several different places. People are looking for that. I mean, everyone's always looking for an alternative to D&D.
Of course.
So this year also includes the ability, if we're not too busy, to attend conventions, and I know you and I both attended a big one this year, but also we both attended maybe a couple online conventions. So let's talk about the big one that we got to attend this year, and that was Gen Con 2024. Which was as a whole, a fantastic time.
It was great. I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. I think for me though, the highlight of it was not the convention itself.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It was hanging with our friends, our surrogate family, right? These are family members by choice, not by blood, right? So, these are the people we get to see every few years. Mm-hmm. So that to me, because gaming is a social activity for me.
Yes, absolutely.
I could, as much shit as I talk about like Savage Worlds or GURPS or sci-fi games or Westerns or, various genres that I just don't like. Bleh.
Right.
I've played a lot of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I've enjoyed some of them, but I've enjoyed them because of the story that was told and the people around the table, physical or virtual.
Right.
And because it's a social activity for me, and that's the most important thing. So to me, that's Gen Con, right? It's the social thing.
Right.
So that was really the highlight. Seeing our friends that came over from England to hang out with us and be our housemates for a week, and then those other friends that congregate there that we got to hang out with as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean it's the same boat for me. You obviously we've talked about this a few times, so we make it obvious that that's the draw. It's one of Gen Con it's a beast. It's near unmanageable in what there is available, what you do there, and to be perfectly honest, if you and all of our wonderful friends weren't attending there, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. No. If there was nobody there for me to actually, go and congregate with, and spend time with, and get to see we haven't seen physically in a long time, that's the draw. I mean, it could be a shitty 2-game con in Podunk, Arizona, but if you and all of our friends said, "Hey, we're going there," that's going to be
where we'd be? Podunk, Arizona.
Yeah, that's going to be the best con of the year.
Yep.
So, but that aside, you and I also, have the opportunity to attend virtual cons. Now, this year's been, I wouldn't say light, but one of the cons that I, going back to physical, one of the ones that I did not attend to this year was Strategicon, which is the only local con that I have. But that may change next year. We'll see. It's just because, Gen Con was all encompassing. It's just like, I don't want to, it's just, that's the focus. I don't really want to spend a lot of money, on other cons because I know, I'm going to walk out with an empty wallet and empty pockets and too much shit to bring home.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean that, the draw of the virtual con, was out of reach. And so you did not attend a virtual con, right? You went to another small con, though, this year.
Yeah, so we talked about this in the last episode in 45 when you were attending Grogmeetish.
Yes.
And I attended we'll call it a local con. It's a regional con. It was about 4 hours away. Mm-hmm. So I attended Mythic Con.
Right.
For the 3 days. You attended the virtual Grogmeetish. So,
right.
And I know throughout the year, we've both attended some other virtual conventions. Mm-hmm. I know I did, and I don't know if you did it, but I did like earlier in the year, Weekend with Good Friends.
Okay, yeah, you did that. I didn't attend that one, but there was another one that I did that you didn't go to anything. But
anyways, there's a smattering of them throughout the year now. Right. Now that we're well past the COVID era,
right,
where there was a huge volume of options.
Oh, a glut, yeah.
Yeah, the options have dwindled. For those that don't know, on my blog on Rolling Boxcars, I keep a running tally of those options are available on a month-by-month basis. Obviously, I scour the web and look, and then people can submit stuff to the website, and then I'll put it on there.
Right.
And the volume of opportunities is very, very limited these days. Mm-hmm. So, take what you can get when you can do it.
Yeah. No, but it's still nice having smaller options and local options. I mean, previous episode we talked in depth about, those two cons.
Yes, we did.
But another one that I attended and ran a game for was there was a liminal con that focused it all on the liminal game by Paul Mitchner. I ran my scenario there, that deals with the Casket Girls of New Orleans. That was great. That was a lot of fun to run. And unfortunately, I didn't play in any other games, but even though the options have dwindled, if you can't attend a physical con, these virtual cons are a great a great opportunity to go out and try a game. Try a new game if that you've been wanting to check out, scratch an itch. The one we're attending next year, the BSRCon.
You say next year, but that's literally like in 2 weeks.
I mean,
next year's in 2 days.
I'm funneling my
as of this recording.
I'm funneling my inner Pookie.
I know.
See you next year. But
BSRCon 4.
Yeah.
Sean P. Kelly, his little endeavor. Have you attended before? This is my first time. So.
I went to one. I think it was last year or the year prior. I played in a couple games, and they have a kind of like a after hours hangout similar to the Mitchester Pub, where a bunch of people just go and chat. And Sean popped on one night, and he was hammered.
Nice.
He was juiced up, and and a fun, a fun
Sean,
a fun Sean, a fun drunk Sean, but. Very thankful, very grateful, very, I dare say not quite emotional, but you could definitely, see it. But we'll blame whatever his cocktail of choice was for that evening.
Nice.
But
very cool.
But a lot of good people at that con, and I'm looking forward to going to it. So, but speaking of conventions, why don't we touch on briefly something that that occurs without error year after year, and that is tabletop RPG drama.
I love drama.
I mean, anyone who says they don't, they're liars. But the
I like Glee Club too. Oh wait, no, we're not talking about that kind of drama.
Yeah, so there's no shortage of it. There's always going to be people stoking the coals year after year. There's going to be people upset about things. There's going to be people who are going to be opinionated about certain things, but
I am not opinionated.
Yeah, but the big one.
Oh, yes, I am.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. But but I think we've dialed back some of it. Some of the big change, which is also part of the drama thing, is the exodus of a lot of people from one social media platform to another, which has taken away a lot of people's ability to engage in said drama, or they just don't see it anymore, which is fine. But I think the big one this year, which kind of, that evolved its way out of social media into the mainstream media, of course, was the 50th anniversary of D&D. And you might say, well, Scott, what do you mean? What drama? This is a celebration of 5 decades of the beginning of the hobby that we're here talking about. Well, let's just, we won't go too much into it, but I think the big one is just, and I think you and I agree on this, is what seems to be the catalyst for a lot of it is, one, a really lack of enthusiasm throughout the year in regards to this 50th anniversary. There's highlights, but you would, when you compare it to previous anniversaries of Dungeons and Dragons, this one seems to pale in comparison to the celebratory aspect of it, the highlights, the focus on the legacy of it. And, walking around Gen Con, there's no denying this. There was kind of a lack of fanfare, don't you think?
Yeah. I would say it's twofold. Okay. So you and I and Bud from Bud's RPG Review, we were over at the press release event, and that was fanfare, right, from WotC, and they were hyping up the new, the 50th anniversary, the new coming 2024 edition.
Yeah.
But outside of that, there was little to no fanfare from WotC, the game's publisher, other than the hype train that they had going, that you had to be online getting your ticket to buy your book at 7 a.m. every morning,
right,
that caused the fucking system to crash and everybody to get mad.
Yeah.
But aside from that, there really wasn't a whole lot of fanfare. They didn't have any, WotC didn't have any other presence other than that one booth to buy the book, which was in like a tunnel in the stadium. Kind of out of the way. They weren't on the main vendor hall floor. There wasn't like D&D 50th anniversary stuff in the main thoroughfares of the trade center, the trade hall. Yeah. Or convention center, I should say.
Yeah.
The things that you would think that should be there.
Right.
And then there were, outside of a few like talks,
Sure.
like panels
Right.
being held at Gen Con about the different editions and eras and,
a couple things
of D&D.
Literature, a couple things, but nothing.
Some of the obligatory panels that you would have had last year and you'll have next year. I mean, there wasn't a lot of fanfare.
No.
But even before Gen Con and even after Gen Con, there doesn't seem to have been a lot of fanfare that I've noticed. Not even at like local retailers. Like there wasn't big, like think back like when they did the, oh my God, what was it, 30th anniversary of D&D.
Yeah.
They had like, you could go to Books A Million, Barnes and Noble, any of the big, back then I think they still had like B. Dalton Books and all of that, Walden Books.
Yeah. Retrospective reprints and all, crazy collector
reprints
stuff.
And there was cardboard stand-ups and I mean big promotional things, banners. See, remember this TSR dice, the big chunky one that's now you can buy it for about $50.
Yeah.
Those were promotional items. I've still got pencils around here that were given out.
Right.
At like Books A Million back then. Those were promotional items, and that was at the 30th anniversary.
Sure. Yeah. And it's
but none of that this time.
No, and it's
which is a shame.
It's a shame. And I mean, and there's two arguments, I should say more than two, but it's a lot of people were, generally focusing on, well, they're a corporation, right? They're, their job is to promote the now, and of course the now is the 2024 edition, which is perfectly fine. But they would be doing that whether it's the 50th anniversary, 51st, 52nd, 49th, whatever the case may be. But much like, this time of year is a time for reflection, but it's also a time for celebration. An anniversary is a time to reflect on the good times. And look back at where you've come from and where you are today. And if you're in a good position, which obviously D&D is, it's a time to celebrate the legacy of it. Now, to be fair, for those who didn't go to Gen Con, to kind of give you a general idea, outside of, like Keith mentioned, I can't recall a single banner talking about it. Now, there was no shortage of banners for Lorcana. You would think it was Lorcana's 50th anniversary, but
no
also
shit.
But also the fact that
thank you Ravensburger.
But also the fact that Gen Con being what it is, Gen Con also shares the same legacy because Gen Con was started by one of the creators of Dungeons and Dragons, Gary Gygax, also. So kind of a twofold thing. You would think that they would want to promote the crap out of it, but therein lies some of the drama. And some of that drama comes from the 50th anniversary book that came out highlighting the creation of Dungeons & Dragons. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful book. I've seen it. I don't own it. I know a lot of people who have, and that's fantastic. And it does a fantastic job of, highlighting the various aspects. There's a lot of beautiful imagery, photographs, write-ups, articles and things, delving into what brought about this fantastic game that is the foundation for why we're doing a podcast, why we're playing these games, why a lot of these other creators and publishers exist. But of course, the drama stemmed from the introduction that was presented, and some people didn't take too kindly to that. And and there's arguments to be made whether it was appropriate or not, whether it was the proper time to highlight these certain things. We're not going to get into that, but if let's put it this way. The people who took exception to it did not take exception to it just because they're assholes, right? There's certain way to handle these things, but then again, on the other side of the coin, it's not entirely crushing the legacy of the creator, which really is nigh impossible in the span of 3 or 4 paragraphs.
Well, you're right. However, I'll just throw this out there. People being people,
right?
You could say we could all look at the sky and see that it is amazingly blue,
Right.
and you can go, oh, it's kind of purple tone, and people are going to get their knickers in a twist. So
Yes.
It doesn't matter what anybody writes in a book.
Right.
Somebody's going to take offense to it and go, well, that's just wrong.
Right. But,
But
again, was it necessary? From my perspective, no, it really wasn't. Because, when you look at the grand picture of everything, if your children are standing in front of you celebrating your 50th anniversary, is that a time for them to stand in front of the crowd and air grievances? I mean, let's be honest. Is it appropriate?
I mean, you're not wrong.
Is it appropriate?
No.
Hey, if we're talking about someone who wasn't a perfect individual, but the thing is a lot of people who are bitching and moaning, they're not perfect either. In fact, they're far worse.
Fair. Fair.
So.
But now I will say, as somebody who has a background in historical research and all of that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're writing a book that is a history,
yes,
you have to include the good, the bad, the ugly if you're painting an entire picture of the history,
right,
of a thing, of a movement, of a person.
Sure.
To give full and proper accounting and context.
Yeah.
And if you were to leave out the bad and the ugly, only to put in the good because it is the 50th anniversary,
sure,
then you are not doing anybody any justice in writing a true and proper history.
Right, but
so
also,
there's two sides of that coin too. I'm not advocating one side or another, and we're not going to get into a dumpster fire here.
Right, yeah.
I'm just saying there are two sides to every story,
right,
and both sides need to be told when it comes to writing a history.
Sure.
Now, there is a proper time when to release things.
Yes.
Now, you're right. If it's mine and my wife's 50th anniversary, should my kids be standing there or neighbors be standing there airing grievances about my wife and I?
Yeah.
Probably not at our party. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
I get your point. So.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, and that was the gorilla in the room. Obviously, there's no shortage of other shit that went on through the year, and we could do.
Oh my God, there's been all kinds of dumpster fire bullshit this year.
We can go on, but that was the big one. But it's
orcs.
Yeah,
I said it.
Yeah, no, that. Don't get me started on that nonsense.
No, I'm not.
But
I
yeah,
said it.
But most of it does stem from
reviewers.
Oop, I said that too.
But
holy shit!
But
I'm stirring the pot, everybody. I'm sorry.
But this particular one is just like it's a shame that I think ultimately what came from it is I feel, and I think a lot of people feel, regardless of where their perspective is as a whole, the anniversary was probably mismanaged and could have been handled better. And
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, again, as somebody who has some background in some of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like historical research and writing.
Sure.
And I think you're right. It was mismanaged.
Yeah.
And as somebody who has grown up with Dungeons and Dragons, although I'm not an active like WotC D&D player, right?
Yeah.
But I still play some iteration of D&D, whether it's Shadow Dark or OSE or something, right?
Right.
I still know where my foundation is, right? I still came from Menser's Red Box D&D, so I know where my beginnings were.
Right.
And, I remember the 30th anniversary.
Yes.
I know when editions were released and stuff like that from growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I would have expected the 50th to be a big to-do, and it was kind of to not.
Yeah. Just kind of.
It was flat.
It was it fell flat.
So,
yeah.
Well,
on to something more positive. So
yes,
we've mentioned all of our wonderful friends, and amongst all of our wonderful friends, we've got some people who are very creative, and they do us the honor of presenting us with a lot of their wonderful games and their creations through the year. So would like to, and would like to maybe highlight a couple of those. Do you have any that you would like to shine the spotlight on that you experienced?
I
in
gotta
2024?
think. Hold on. Give me about 10 minutes to think about this. Creative people that we know.
I think it's all
No,
of them.
I can't think of anybody.
No, okay. Oh, I know.
Let's move on to the next segment.
Yeah, you're right.
I want to give a shout out to the likes of like Bud, right? And Alex Galat and Jason Burnett and God, I mean, we could sit here and we can go all day long.
I know. Yeah. Well, I'll
just hang out with lots of great creative people. I mean,
and this is no slight against anyone, but just for sake of time, I'm just gonna highlight just two real quick. One, of course, Bud. I'm running through playtesting. Bud and Alex, but Bud's running it. Playtesting their sequel to Viral called Vermis. Having a great time with that. And for those who really love Viral, I think you've got an excellent sequel coming to that, and you're not going to be disappointed. Once the game is polished and presented for the plebs
fantastic
to play. But of course, I think we talked about this before recording. Roy. And his Bold Home Blues game for me, Roy just makes, RuneQuest just delightful, enjoyable, so much fun. The games that he runs in there are fantastic. I'm glad that he's presenting them for other people to enjoy on TTRPG. Please go check them out. But between Bud and Alex being very gracious enough to allow my dumb ass to play in their game and break it and pick it apart and comment on it, and Roy for creating these delightful, wonderful, fun games that make RuneQuest so accessible.
I got to play test Bold Home Blues.
Yeah. Oh, you did.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
But there's no shortage of other people out there that do these things. But thank you to every one of our friends, whether you just ran a game, a published game. A game that you're working on, a game that you're never going to publish, or for letting us come and fiddle fart around and break your game and hopefully make it a little bit better. That is a big highlight of 2024 for me, and I hope it rolls into 2025 too.
Absolutely.
So,
kudos to your creativity.
Yes,
you do better than I do.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm full of it. I just have a problem squeezing it out. You like that euphemism? So dragging us back in, our output for this year, was okay. You and I, we've had a couple roadblocks and certain things, and nothing serious. None of us,
No, just life, family, work,
time
gets in the way. Time.
It's a time thing. It's just you and I both have. We live on separate coasts, and coordinating time can be a juggle sometimes, and it makes it difficult. And we've got other things going on, but we did get through some episodes this year. So with that, out of the episodes that we've done, do you have a favorite one?
I love all of our little children, all of our little episodes.
Lies.
But I think our episode with Brendan LaSalle was probably the most fun to do.
Yeah.
He is an absolute character. Mm-hmm. He is high speed, low drag. Now it was kind of a pain in the keister to get it going. There was some technical difficulties and
a couple,
some scheduling, and there was some it was against us from the beginning, but we got it and we got it going.
Yeah.
But having Brendan on the show was a blast.
Yeah.
And he is just such a fun person to chat with, and just an all around great person to hang out with.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that's my favorite. I I really enjoy the interviews that we've done throughout the past couple of years, and they're always fun. And it takes the pressure off of us for trying to create coherent topics to talk about. But
I agree, but I think it adds extra pressure to us, though.
Oh yeah, because we got to be nice, and we got to be prepared. Can you imagine?
I don't like preparing.
Imagine showing up. So, Brendan, you've got this game called XRC Classics. Can you tell us about it? Yeah. So but for me too, it was just Brendan. I mean, Brendan, like you said, he's a wonderful guy, character, force of nature, and a gift to people who do podcasts, whether that be audio or video podcast, is having a guest where you literally can press the record button, probably get up, walk away, make yourself a sandwich, and come back, and they're still driving the boat.
I mean, we literally could have given Brendan a prompt,
right?
Walked away, gone and had to the bar, had a beer, come back, and he would have just been going, "Hey, hey, was that good? Did that make sense?
Yeah."
And then give him another prompt and off he goes. Yeah. I mean, he's just that energetic and coherent and fun, and it was great.
So that brings us into looking ahead, right? Is
this where we have to give our resolutions that we're going to break?
Well, a couple things. So let's start with, you kind of mentioned it before, but we'll kind of zero in and see if there's something else that you want to bring up. But games you're looking forward to next year.
Ooh, yeah. Actually, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and it doesn't have to be like Ian World. What's the newest game you're looking forward to in 2025? And it's got to be coming out in 2025. It could be either. Is there something, you can say, Scott, I'm looking forward to running 4th edition, but is there something that you're
not 4th edition, Scott?
3.5?
No. Actually, I had a couple of weeks ago, I had set out to figure out what I wanted to focus on in 2025. I've done these grandiose plans in the past, like, cool, I'm going to make this laundry list, like 2025 games, and I'm going to random roll, and then I'm going to do that game, and then once I do it, I'm going to roll again and whittle this list down, and no, those are always failures.
Right.
So for 2025, I created a short list.
Okay.
Of about 6 or 7 games, and then I started whittling that list down. This reviewer went out and looked at other reviews. I watched reviews, I read good commentary, bad commentary about a variety of games.
Hold on. Did they play them?
Some did, some did not. I looked at a variety of sources.
Right. You didn't take the bait, but go on.
I know. That I trust, and I excuse me. And I whittled my list of 6 or 7 down to 3.
Right.
And it was at that point I said, I wanted to get down to 1 or 2. And these are games that I want to deep dive explore. Okay. Read them, run them, review them, run them again, that kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. And I couldn't get it down any further. So I'm going to do 3.
Okay.
Next year. These are my focus for 2025.
Okay.
Now, couple of years ago, I backed, so the 3 games are, I'll start with the first one, Twilight 2000 4th edition.
Okay.
From Free League.
Right.
I backed the Kickstarter a couple of years ago. I've played 2 scenarios at virtual conventions, but aside from that, I have never run it myself. I've only read it superficially, so I'm going to really delve into it in 2025. The second one is Outgunned. I picked it up at Gen Con on a recommendation of one of our Wednesday night players, Roz. She kind of hyped it up, so I picked it up while I was at Gen Con. I've started reading it, actively reading it now. Super excited about it. I know it's presently kind of on the hype train itself, so with a lot of people, but for good reason. It's really good so far. And then the third game was Outcast Silver Raiders.
Okay. Hence
why I bought it the other day or ordered it. So I have none of these are, if you've noticed, none of these are brand new games either. No, they've all been published over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing's, new in 24 or new in 25.
Right.
Or projected for 25. And they're not all the same genre. So I've got a fantasy game. I've got an action-oriented cinematic type game with Outgunned.
Okay.
The fantasy with Outcast Silver Raiders. And then I've got a militaristic What If with Twilight 2000.
Yeah.
So that's kind of we can call this what I'm looking forward to in 2025. Yeah. And one of my resolutions that I hope not to break is my deep dive exploration of these 3 games. I really want to lift the hood up, dig into the engines of these things and, see what makes them tick.
Right. No,
What about you?
I'm just going to say that is an excellent, diverse roundabout selection of games. I mean, it's going to scratch a lot of itches, which fantastic. Yeah, it should. But for me, it's I'm going to sound like a Chaosium shill, but one I'm looking forward to is picking back up the Pendragon campaign again with you guys, the Grey Knight. I'm looking forward to run that.
I'm looking forward to you picking that up too.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to wait for the Game Master's Guide because I'm sure that's not going to be out until the middle of the year. But I am looking forward to that coming. That's kind of like one of the top ones on my list, and I'm looking forward to coming out in 2025. But also, I really want to give Cthulhu by Gaslight a whirl. I was lucky enough to pick up a copy of The Golden Dawn for a song over the holidays. I also picked up a copy of Hudson and Brand, which, like it or not, it does provide a nice foundation for a Call of Cthulhu short campaign.
I like Hudson and Brand, to be honest with you.
But
I have it.
So I
backed the Kickstarter. Yeah.
So you're familiar with so for those who aren't familiar, it's obviously it's Cthulhu by Gaslight, Gaslamp Cthulhu, but it kind of gives you what Vaesen gives you. It gives you a headquarters and a foundation for why you're doing what you're doing. Yep. And that's one of the hardest things to do when you're starting out a game. If it's not a published set of published adventures, if you're just going to be creating some stuff, having a nice foundation for moving forward, but also having a reason, but having headquarters is also helpful too.
I like the fact that Hudson and Brand is in a roundabout way. I'm not throwing shade at anybody, but
right.
It's kind of the roundabout way of Holmes and Watson with the serial numbers and names filed off. I mean, and why not? I mean,
yeah.
Come on.
It's
a consulting detective agency.
Yeah.
Concept that you are assuming ownership of.
Yeah.
As player characters.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
I obviously, me, I don't have problems with tropes. I don't have problems with cliches. I mean, obviously, if they're not hurtful, yada yada yada, whatever. But tropes and cliches exist because a majority of them are fun, and that's why they keep living on.
And people connect with them.
And people connect with them. It makes an easier connection, and it just it makes it easier on the GM too. So. And very quickly that trope becomes secondary because all it's doing is creating a foundation for you to move forward, and then from there the game becomes its own thing. So yeah. But since you already mentioned it, gaming resolution for me would be also, as some of these games end, is I really want to get back into running more one shots. I want to be offering up, games, and by one shot, I don't mean let's just play one session. I mean, hey, we're going to play. It could be one session, could be a couple sessions, but there's a lot of games that I've been picking up for the past couple of years that are gathering dust, and I just want to get them to the table. I just
like we do on the Wednesdays, we just play a short scenario arc, and we're done.
You're right. Just to just to get an idea of the game that I've invested in and play it, and then just continue to punch holes in my dance card, and who knows, that's what leads to me wanting to play longer term games, but that's not going to happen if and again, no offense to to all the wonderful GMs for the games that I'm playing in, but it's obvious that I'm stretched thin. And so some of these games, like I said, are going to be kind of dropping off, which which will then be filled with me, utilizing that time to run these one shots, just because that's my jam. I do enjoy a good long-term campaign. I'm running them, but I do not want to pick up and run another long-term campaign, and nor do I really want to get involved in any other long-term campaigns as a player, because there's only so much time in the day. So kind of happy with where I'm at right now. Some of them fall to the wayside. I'll be picking that up and running one shot. So you may be seeing me in the future presenting, hey, who's interested in running this? Let's try this out. It may take up a week, and kind of like how we did during lockdown, because we did a lot of that shit during lockdown of just like, here's something. Yeah, it may take 2 or 3 weeks or whatever of your time, but we did it. We had fun, and let's move on to something else. So, but yeah, so we do have one more resolution to talk about. And
actually, I've got 2 other personal resolutions.
Oh well, let's do that first before we get into it. It
actually kind of piggybacks off of what you just said about doing some more of the like one shots and stuff. So and I had mentioned it earlier, like I was very poor at tracking my games this year.
Okay.
Like I kept track on RPGgeek.com of like the new games that I ran, that I had never run before, and the new games that I had never played before.
And you're a spreadsheet nerd, so for shame,
I know. So speaking of spreadsheets, I created a spreadsheet. In Excel.
Did I lie?
And it does work in Google Docs too, Google Sheets, for tracking my games, like all my games. So like just simple like data validation lists. So I can just go, am I the GM? Yes or no? Am I a player? Yes or no? Is it something that I'm actively reading? Is it something that's already been played? I'm ready to play, or it's been played, that way I'm not tracking at a website. I'm just tracking myself.
Right.
It's easier for me to do it. I don't have to remember to go to a website, log in, track it, yada. Plus this way too, I know which books I'm currently reading, which ones I'm games queued up, ready to run or ready to play. So hopefully I'll do a better job of tracking throughout the year.
Okay.
And when, and what days that what date did I run it or play it. And then the other thing I want to do, and this is a long shot, this is probably not going to happen. It'll be like a fart in the wind, just dissipate. But I either want to write a scenario or somehow not necessarily to publish, but I want to incorporate the Soviet 588th. It's otherwise known as the Night Witches.
Okay.
From World War II.
Okay.
Into a historical scenario. Yes, I'm fully aware, for those that are listening, of Jason Morningstar from Bully Pulpit Games and his Night Witches, Powered by the Apocalypse. I backed it on Kickstarter. I'm fully aware of it. That's not what I'm looking for. I've run it. I've played it. Well, I shouldn't say I've run it. I've played it a couple of times. Great game. Not what I'm looking for. So I just don't know what I want to do with it yet. I don't know if I want to do something inspired by the Night Witches, and do it with, say, maybe Twilight 2000 when I delve deeper into it, or do it with War Stories, which is a World War II version of or World War II game that's powered by the Year Zero engine. I don't know what I want to do with it yet.
Right.
That's something that's kind of like mulling around my head the last couple of days.
Okay.
So.
Well,
those are my other resolutions.
That kind of rings my bell. Is one of the things that I'm looking to do is, and I've mentioned before, is I'm looking to write and publish my first Miskatonic repository scenario. I've got a general idea. It's essentially going to be an homage to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's going to be, dealing with 1970s Call of Cthulhu a la Alex Guillat and his genre that he's known for, but likewise it's going to be tongue in cheek and it's going to be a bit fun and funny, but it's also going to be horrific. So working on that, and hopefully And that's the other thing about, a lot of the games that I'm in tailing off is it's going to create more opportunity for me to do those things too, because
very cool.
As you know, whether you're creating a game to play with your players or creating a game to publish or whatever it may be, it's always a time issue, Oh
yeah.
Time. We've got kids, we got family, we got work, and, just taking it bit by bit and not really setting a goal of 2025 is a miserable goal, as opposed to I want to get this out by March, April, May, June, whatever. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Not realistic in my book.
Not in that position yet. Maybe when the kids are in college or, retired.
I'm an empty nester, and I don't think that's realistic in my book. Not in my world.
So we have one more resolution to get through, and that's regarding our Near and Dear podcast that we're currently recording for. As mentioned, we really didn't put a lot out this year. But is there certain things that you would like to accomplish aside from output? I mean, I know we've had other goals and tasks that we've been kind of chipping away at, and ideas that we've kind of brought up that we never really brought to fruition. But we're really good at like the good idea fairy likes to fly through and sprinkle her dust everywhere. We're idea people,
and then fly out, and it just dissipates. We're really good at that part.
Yeah. But do you have anything that you would like to maybe see come to fruition in 2024, or something you would like to work for or work towards?
I would like us to have a
2025.
I'd like us to have more of an output.
Okay.
A more regular output, ideally,
Yep.
for the benefit of our listeners, obviously. I'd like that to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like that. First and foremost, I would still like us to explore the idea of doing a virtual convention.
Okay.
Titterpig Con, I don't know what we're going to call it, but definitely not the unmentionable name. This is why Scott and I have never done this thing, because there's an unmentionable name that we just want to use and we can't.
Yeah. Well, we'll go through some thesauruses and see what we can come up with. But yeah, no, yeah, that's one. Okay.
Yeah, I would like to do that. I think it's a great, in my mind, it's a great community building. I don't want to say exercise, because it's not an exercise. It's a community building platform, a way to bring people together to play games and build community. And that's, I mean, we set that as one of our goals when we started this podcast, was about community.
Yeah.
Right. That's why we're not talking hot topic dumpster fire bullshit on the podcast, right?
No, and we're not
trying to,
and clickbaity crap and all that stuff.
Yeah. We're that's not what we're about. We're about community buildings, and that's a community building thing. So I'd still like us to do that. Maybe take some cues from some of our friends, and that have a small entry fee, but then take that and then use it as a donation to a charitable organization or something.
Yeah, just cover the cost of using the site or whatever it is, that you go with. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, I don't want anything that's a moneymaker. I just want to, it's all about community. So
create a platform for people to have fun and play games, and organize, get together, try new things, meet new people, and that's what the hobby is about.
Build new friendships, like we did during COVID, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I would like.
Yeah.
How about you?
Couple things. So one of the
what can I do for you?
You can remember my birthday.
I know when your birthday is. It's around the corner.
Yeah. No, there's. I agree. The output.
You have a new Tingleverse book coming.
Yeah. No. So yeah, same thing. I mean, output obvious is one thing. That's schedule permitting, of course. But a couple of things I'd like to focus on is I getting more people, getting more interviews, of course. But one of the things that I enjoy is talking more about the aspects of game design, game theory, things within the hobby, but having a roundtable conversation. Because, like we mentioned, we've got a very lot of talented people, that we know, that we've met and spoken with over the years, our friends, of course. But having, I enjoy the roundtable discussions with people because I personally like the chaos of it. You never know what's going to be brought up. The topics can change on a dime, and it's always ends up being an interesting conversation.
Absolutely,
as mentioned. But interviews and I enjoy the interviews of people coming in promoting their products and talking about it. It's always great. That's another big thing, a big reason why we do this is to stand people up and put the spotlight on them and say you should know about this person and their game, but also bring people on to talk about other things within in regards to the hobby and whatnot. But also, but one other thing, a little part of me is I would like to do maybe a couple more actual plays for fun, and for no other reason other than just for fun. Get someone who wants to highlight their game, and rather than just have an interview with them, run your game for us. Take us through and the listeners through your game. They can get a general feel for it. Or even better, just do an actual play just for shits and giggles with our friends. So people are always interested on how some of the people that we know, what's it like to play a game with so and so or such and such, and it's like, well, here you go. Here's a fun game. Listen to it. If you don't like it, great. But otherwise, we're having fun. And just
yes, listeners, sometimes we do have fun.
Yes, we this is not
very
a slog.
often, but we do have fun.
Yeah, this is not a slog. If you would know if we were slogging through this, if it was just kind of like, oh god, I got to do another fucking episode. What are we talking about today? Dice fudging? All right, dice fudging. All right, everyone, dice fudging's wrong. Wait, no, dice fudging's okay. All right, but yeah, so. And it's just that, it's just maintaining the podcast, making sure that, as long as you and I are enjoying doing this, that we keep doing it. And, as long as it's interesting and fun and we're doing it on our terms and no one else's terms, just crank out more, Titterpig goodness for the people who listen to us or more than likely fall asleep to us. Sleep well.
It's all good.
But yeah, so that's kind of it. I mean, it's just, just doing a little bit more. And I like it. And also shaving off 50 pounds, but that's,
I'm working on that part.
Yeah. So that's anything else you'd like to add? Because I mean, we covered quite a large amount of stuff, a year within an hour. And I know we probably. I would
just like to say, in the immortal words of Bob Barker, spay and neuter your pets, please. No, I got nothing else to add.
Right.
No, 24 has been great. 25 is looking good so far. I mean, we're not in 25 yet.
Yeah. No,
there's still time for it to crash and burn around me, but so far so good.
Yeah,
everybody's here and relatively healthy, and my books aren't burning, and I don't have a dumpster sitting over here on fire yet.
And no snakes in the ceiling.
Yet,
yeah. Hey,
let's not go there.
It's a new year and a new year for serpents to invade.
Shut up.
Well, there you go, everyone. Obviously, we rambled through an entire year in a short amount of time. We may have skipped over some highlights. We may have made if there's something that we didn't mention that you were involved in, we apologize. No, it's definitely here in our hearts and minds.
But leave us a comment and we'll comment.
Yes,
we'll respond in a comment though.
Yeah, big thing. If the one big thing is what do you have to look forward to in 2025 in regards to games, and it can be anything. It doesn't have to be a Kickstarter you're looking forward to, a game you want to purchase, but just anything in general. Drop us a line, drop us a comment. Shoot us an email at titterpigspod@gmail.com. We always like, reading these things when we get them. And more importantly, though, have a very, very happy new year. Have a safe new year. And we will see each and every one of you next year.
And with that, let's roll into 2025.